Okay, we are here. So originally today, Sherry and I were supposed to do an IG live, but I was having technical difficulties and she was having technical difficulties. So you know what? We switched it up. We came to Zoom, and this will now be an IGTV. So Sherry, thank you so much for doing this. I know we have been talking and planning this for a month or so now, but I'm so excited to get down to talk with you.
Yeah. And it's more like, I think, 2 months.
It's been a while. It's been like summertime. You
Yes.
were in Africa and I saw you and I was like, oh my gosh, I love this. I have to find out more. But before we get there, why don't you introduce yourself? I would love for you to, when people ask you, who are you? What do you do? Just give us your 30-second intro.
All right. I am Dr. I am the owner and creator of the blog, the personal finance blog, A Life of Financial Freedom.com. I am also the creator of the Side Hustle to Wealth Summit that will come around again next year. And I'm also, in my fun time, I love to ride my Harley motorcycle, and I'm a mother of one.
I saw that in your bio. I did not know you had a Harley. That is very
cool. For years.
Wow.
I've been riding almost 10 years or close to it.
Wow, I didn't know that. That's so cool. That is so cool. So you are a side hustler. Like, what would you consider yourself? Because this platform, the BFF network, is all about Black female freelancers, right? But I think that takes many forms and many shapes. Side hustling to me is 100% freelancing. But I'm curious to hear what you think. You know, are you a freelancer?
I am known as the queen of side hustles. I retired from the federal government 2 years ago this month. And I've been doing freelance work, a little this, a little that, working on my own website, creating printables, you name it, I've probably done it.
Yeah, that's awesome. So what led you to start your platform? I think your website came first, is that right? Because you've been doing a website for a while. So how long has it been around, and what kind of sparked you to start that?
The website has been around since before I retired. I started working on it. I'm guesstimating about 6 months before I retired, so maybe about 2.5, 3 years ago, I started the website. I was just determined that I was not going to go through the usual retirement age, and I wanted to retire early. I just started feeling like I was trapped in my office behind 4 walls. I'd been working all my life. I was a single mother. I was a single teenage mother growing up, adorable daughter that I love dearly, Kay. And I always did little side projects in addition to a 9-to-5 while she was growing up, because it was important to me to always have insurance for her, to have dental, all the other good stuff. But she's good and grown now and on her own and doing wonderful. And that burning desire in me was just like, I want to get out of the corporate 9-to-5. And I want to do my own thing. And I was always doing stuff here, doing stuff there. I was like, I could easily work another 10 or 15 years, but why? Why? And I took two years maybe before I officially retired. And in those 2 years, I did my website. I got into being an Airbnb host, which I still am. And that allowed me really to retire early, that along with some other side hustles. So I've been an Airbnb host for at least going on 6 years.
Wow.
And just stashed money to the side. It enabled me to save more money. I'm into real estate now. So that was it. I just got tired of those golden handcuffs, made the nice 6 salary.
Yeah.
Monies, amazing benefits, you retire with the pension plan, all of that. I just had enough. And I was talking to a friend of mine in Atlanta, and I was like, man, I could go, a few more years, and I'm just so tired of working. And she asked me, she said, Sherry, how much is enough? And I said, wow, you got a point there. So I just jumped out on faith and planning and planning.
Not forget the planning. That's awesome. Do you remember what your first kind of side gig was, or your first side hustle? Like that when you started?
Okay, so in my family, I have been hustling all my life. One of my sisters reminded me when we were kids, and it was either junior high or high school, and we wanted to go to a little local party. And I said, oh, we need new outfits. This was so funny when she told me about it. I started laughing like, oh my God, I remember that. And I said, we don't have any money. So I was born and raised in North Carolina, country. So I said, oh, we could go pick some bell peppers and strawberries and make a little side money. So I said, girl, did we get enough money? She said, girl, we got those new outfits. We went and picked in the fields, got it, and had a great time at the party. So I have been side hustling in one way or another all my entire life, and finding out about money, the challenge of getting money, saving it, investing it is something I have always been interested in. And that's one of the things with my website I work on doing now, engaging and empowering women to know more about personal finance, because we're at a disadvantage for the most part.
Yeah, absolutely. I think literally that is what the BFF network is all about. Like when it gets down to its core, it is about Black women making more money to save, spend, or invest. So whether you want a Louis bag or you want to send your kids to college, like whatever you choose to do with the money, that's your business, right? But I just want to
exactly. It's what you choose to do with it. Yes, that financial freedom. For me, it was wanting to retire early, but still have different platforms of making money going on, because I wanted freedom to see my family more, to spend more time with the younger generation of my family. I just wanted the freedom to be able to go on vacation and say, hey, I think I want to stay another week or two, and not have to call my boss and say, hey, I need a couple more days or whatever. It's been so freeing to be a freelancer / side hustle and work for myself. It's been amazing feeling. Freedom. It's free. Free.
It's literally freedom. And when I started, I've been freelancing for 11 years now. So I started freelancing right out of college. I mean, just because, I don't know, I've kind of always been a hustler too. Like I've just always had this sense that I think I like different things. So just being in one job for me was almost not satisfying enough for my brain. I actually just was diagnosed at 34 years old with having ADHD. And it literally makes so many things in my life so much more clear, like why my brain has worked this way forever. And I'm just kind of finding out, but I just always was interested in different things. But when I finally quit my full-time job to freelance full-time, that was my reason why, is I wanted freedom to work wherever I wanted to work. I want freedom of location. So if I travel, as long as I have my Wi-Fi and my laptop, I'm good to go. So that was my initial kind of thing that pushed me off of the ledge, I guess you could say.
Yes, that freedom of location, what I call laptop lifestyle, has been amazing. It allowed me to work in Africa for most of the summer and still be away from home, enjoy myself. It's an amazing thing.
It is. And I really want to talk about Africa, because I was following your journey and it looked like you were having an amazing time. So how did you get there? Like what was the story behind you going to Africa over the summer?
Okay, I kind of like Shonda Rhimes. It's my year of the yes.
Oh, yeah.
It was not my first time going to West Africa. I've been to South Africa also. So I went 20 plus years ago with my girlfriend that's from there, one of my best friends in Atlanta. So she said, oh, our whole family is going this year. So when I first went with her over 20 years ago, she wasn't married, she didn't have kids, grandkids. So now she has that. And they were all going back home. I said, wow. She said, girl, you can go, you're retired / working. And I was thinking, wow, why not go? First I said, oh, I'll meet you all over there for a week or two. And then I said, why not just go for the duration of the time? So I went to Abidjan, which is the Ivory Coast. So I ended up going for most of the summer with them and had an amazing time. So, and when I got there, some of the kids that were small when I first went are now grown. Yeah. And so many people remembered me. And then I met some good looking men. I would ask my girlfriend, girl, where was he at 20 plus years ago? The funny thing is they were asking her the same thing. Where was I at when she came 20 plus years ago?
Nice.
So that part, it was just so much fun and so hot because when I went before, it was in December years ago. This year, I think it started in June. It was so hot. So about the second day, I was like, girl, I don't know if I can take this heat. I might have to go back home early, but I survived it. It was fun. So it was seeing people that I hadn't seen in over 20 years. Yeah. And their first language, other than their village language, if they have that, is French. Okay. And amazingly, my French learning kicked in more this time around. And I realized that if I was there at least 6+ months consecutively, that I would finally have French down.
You would. I imagine you would, because you'd be forced to learn it for sure.
And it all comes back to networking. So this is a friend that I met over 20 years ago in a financial conference. That's where we met at in Atlanta. And we stayed friends. Her kids are my god kids. And my 20-year-old niece and 11-year-old niece from Philadelphia just visited with me for two weeks. And they just went home a couple of weeks ago. And they was like, wow, my older niece, Aunt Sherry, I was talking to my cousin. I was like, wow, I want to be like Aunt Sherry when I grow up. You go where you want to go, do what you want to do. I said, oh, hold up, girl. It's not all crystal clear like you see it. And I said, there's some hard work, that you got to put in and be consistent about it. But they were saying, I said, and then I was explaining to her, the going to Africa for that amount of time was based on a network and connections that I have kept intact for over 20 years. And they were both young, like, oh, we don't have friends like that. I said, that's called networking and forming friendships. You've got to do that.
Yeah.
You have got to have those friendships and connections in life. I'm like, step away from that phone, get off of whatever you're on in social network. You got to learn to, go back and forth with people.
Yeah, absolutely. So when you were in Africa or you were in Ivory Coast, you said, did you do any work? Like, were you working remotely? Like, what was that like with the time difference?
Actually, it was pretty good because I think they are, again, and remember now, like a 6-hour difference before or after, I can't even remember right now. Okay. But it worked out pretty good. And then, I was doing a lot of social media management then. So I did a bulk post. I created bulk assets or posts before I even left. So I knew I would be ahead of the game.
Nice.
So again, back to that scheduling and organizing.
Yes, absolutely. And I think that is, as a freelancer, that is one of the most important things, is like figuring out how to manage and organize your business, right? Because it's not like you're clocking in at 9 a.m. and clocking out at 5 p.m. and you have this time to do your work, right? Like you can do your work on the weekend. You can do your work at 2 o'clock in the morning if you want to, whenever you choose.
And that can be a downfall. Yes.
It absolutely can, right? When I first started, I was like, oh yeah, this is fun. I could just work whenever, but I had to put myself on a schedule. So although I don't work 9 to 5, those are the times that I try to get the bulk of my work done, even though I often work late, which is not always great. But what kind of tools or what kind of things have you put in place for yourself to keep you organized? Like, what has helped you in your freelance career? I mean, anything from like Canva to create graphics to Do you have like a calendar where you write things down? Like, just what keeps you organized?
Still working on the organizing part, and I'm hoping to be like you when I grow up. I know you got 10 years of skin in the game. Mine's a whole lot less as far as the freelance side. And I have learned on most nights to step away from my office, my home office, and say, hey, that's it. Because when I first retired, a couple months later, we were in COVID. So out of COVID, I ended up creating the Side Hustle to Wealth Summit that had 24 speakers. So that was all during COVID, and we had that July of last year. And I was working almost every night till like 3, 4 o'clock, then working with the editor. So I had to learn, and I'm still learning this, that most nights or days I'm looking for, because when I first retired, I said, I want to work like 4 hours and then go to the beach the other half of the day. I live here in Los Angeles, been here for years, and I've never gotten enough beach time. I can never get enough beach time.
Yeah.
And it didn't work out that way. I'm still working towards that, because when you're first putting something together, chances are you're not going to be able to just work 4 hours and walk away.
Yeah.
And you can't necessarily take that laptop to the beach with the sand and the water and all of that. And so when I first retired and got into freelance, and I did find that I was spending too much time here at my desk. So I'm getting a grasp on that, to sit, and it has to be fun. I remember one day I was working so hard. I was like, oh my God, I feel like I'm in a 9 to 5. And if it's not fun and joy for me right now, I don't want to do it. So I'm learning to get that healthy balance, like going to Africa for the summer. I did a little work. I did play as well.
Yeah.
And even here at the house, like, okay, I'm taking the day off. I'm going to the beach. As far as productivity tools, excuse me, I love using Canva. Since you mentioned that I have a pro account, I love using Canva to create different assets for my social management and for social management of others that I'm doing. I also use Adobe Spark, Adobe Acrobat, a little bit of Adobe Photoshop. Still got a great learning curve to do on that. I use Audacity for editing, a whole long list of tools.
Yeah. Okay, cool. Another question that just came to my mind, because I know a lot of freelancers ask it, so I just want to get as many opinions across the board as I can always get from different freelancers. A question that I get often is about pricing. And you don't have to talk about your prices unless you want to, but how do you even develop your pricing structure for the work that you do?
That is a good question. I thought I had printed it out. I was talking with a friend of mine that serves as my coach a lot of the time. And I've learned that I can't just give away my services. And that's a hard thing as a freelancer. When stuff comes easy to you, such as creating graphics, when it comes easy to you, people can take it for granted if you have a quick turnaround.
For sure.
And so you cannot undervalue your product and your knowledge. So that is one thing that I have really learned also to get a grasp on. Now I have to think about, it's my years of training, the skills that I have, the different jobs that I have. So I had to learn I've done some gigs where I sat there and started calculating the amount of time I put into it. And I remember one time saying, wow, I am working below minimum wage. Sherry, this will never happen again. So I've learned to not discount my services because I'm worth it. So now if you can't afford me, that's okay.
That's okay. That is okay. And that, I think, in itself is a mindset shift for so many freelancers, because I think in the beginning, it's easy to want to take on everything to get the money coming in. But I think if you set your prices right, you don't have to take as many people, and the ones that can't pay, or afford the services, it's okay to say, this is not really in alignment. This is not a fit. quick story. So I do freelance work and I do contract work. So I have a couple of clients that I've contracted for. So I remember a time where I quoted someone a rate, and when I was literally like having the conversation, I had a different rate in my head, a higher rate. But my like imposter syndrome like kicked in on the spot.
Oh
And
no.
so the number, I like undercut myself like way more than I should have. And they were like, oh, okay, and I was like, of course they said okay, because that was like, you know what I mean? So I sat there and I thought about it. And I decided that I was going to send this client an email back and tell them what happened. Like, you know what?
Wow.
I undervalued myself. And after I sat down to think about it, if I were to do this work for this amount of money, I wouldn't even value it, to be honest. So I'm going to have to ask for a revised payment. And I was so scared to send that email. I was sweating bullets, but it worked. It worked. And they were like, okay, sure. So, I mean, that is just a quick snippet of like, ask what you want. I mean, you can never determine what people are going to say yes or no to. You can just put out there your worth, your price, and let it be that. So.
And Laura, I'm so glad to hear that you did that, because if you don't do that and you get into working like I did for less than minimum wage with all the hours that were put in, you start feeling a little resentment.
You do.
And you start feeling like, wow, this contract is X amount of months. Why did I put myself in this position? So yeah, I'm glad to hear you stepped out on faith on that one and called them out on it. And they were like, okay, you're right.
They said, okay. I mean, it's just, or recently I signed a contract for a project that I'm working on, and I gave my rate, and I was like, I know this rate is high, but that's where I'm at right now. So this is what I'm going to ask you. And they told me, they said, we can't meet that, but this is our budget, and we can reduce the scope of work so that it's fit. And I was like, great, I can do that too. You know what I mean? Reduce the scope, whatever it's going to take, so that it fits within my skill set and what the price is, right? So I think I always just want to talk about pricing, because I think it's like such a special piece of freelancing, for sure.
It's been trial and error for me, but I have learned to get over that spot really quick. I also coach. I'm a distinguished Toastmaster, which is like the highest level that you can get in Toastmasters. I've been doing Toastmasters for years. And I started coaching people on speaking and giving speeches. And I remember one person I had, another person, and I won't say the rate, but she was a referral from someone else. And I was thinking, wow, she's a referral, so I need to give her a discounted rate. And I was like, okay, the rate will be this amount. She said yes so fast that in my head, I was like, Sherry, you should have stuck like you to your original amount. And I was like, she said yes so fast and so easy. And I'm thinking I could have charged twice the amount, which is what I wanted to do. But of course I wasn't going to go back on, because she was a referral and all, but lesson learned. And from that point on, it's like, no, it's this amount. So if you can't afford me at this time, that's okay. I understand, and move on.
That's right. That's right. I mean, and it is, I'm working on some projects for the BFF network, which I'm really excited about, which I'm not going to go into too many details yet, but you helped inspire me on some of it. We've had previous conversations, so I'm excited. But I think, let me close this thing. I think one thing that's really important is mindset. You know what I mean? And I think your pricing is really a mindset about really, when they say know your worth, I mean, this is really the definition of know your worth, because this is how you're going to get paid. This is how you're going to pay your bills. This is how you're going to do all of that stuff, right? So I think mindset around pricing is really important. So more to come.
I agree.
So I just have 2 more questions for you, because I know Zoom is going to cut us off, because this is my free account. I should have logged on to the account. But well, question number 1, what advice do you have for freelancers, for Black women who are freelancers out there? Things that you wish you would have found out earlier, things that have been beneficial to you in your freelance side hustle career, just any nuggets of advice that you want to share with the world.
Number one, you've got to continue to network. That is one of the most important things. With COVID, we're in this COVID situation now. It's easy to say, no, I'm not going to do this. I don't want to be around people. Of course, we have Zoom and we've all Zoomed out. I understand the Zoom fatigue thing. It is so real. But number one, you've got to network, be it on Zoom or picking up a telephone. Sometimes you just need to talk to a person.
That's right.
In the face-to-face on Zoom is good. So I would say number one, to network even more than you did before, and have an emergency fund set aside before you even think about freelancing, because the money won't necessarily come as soon or as fast as you would like for it to be. And you want that cushion, and you don't want your business to be one of those that doesn't survive that 5-year mark. And have fun in the process. My God, you still gotta have fun. Have some fun when you're doing your passion. Be passionate about it and give back to others. Empower others.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. That freelance, that emergency fund, I think is so important. And I also want to note that I think emergency funds look different, right? For me, I quit my job with no plan. I don't recommend that for people, right? Like that is not the way to
have a plan. People have a plan.
Have a plan. But what I did is I was moving, and I was moving back in. I was moving from New York back home to Dallas, and I moved in with my parents. So that was kind of my safety net in case nothing happened, right? I realized at this point, everybody doesn't have their parents to go back to. And that was definitely a blessing that I even had that opportunity. But I didn't have a ton of money saved up, but I did know if it came down to it, my parents would feed me if nothing.
Wow.
So
nothing like those parents. Man, I hate that mine have made their transition on. You're blessed.
Yes. So, I mean, so emergency, situations, plans can look different. It could be just like having a strong support system or someone that you can lean on if it goes wrong. So that's just my 2 cents there.
And Laura, that's just like financial freedom. It's different for everybody. For me, I didn't retire with $1 million in, and I'm still shooting on getting that million plus. But for me, it was cutting back on stuff like staying out of Ross, staying out of Macy's, staying out of Neiman Marcus. So for me, it was about sacrifice up front, so I could be able to leave at 9 to 5 to do what so many people can't do. So yeah, for me, financial freedom meant getting out and not necessarily having all the money in the world that I wanted, but making it work.
Yeah, I love that, because it's like one shoe does not fit all. Like you have to figure out what your shoe looks like, and you have to be clear on that, in order to create that plan. So, okay, last question. I just want you to tell us where we can find you online, what you have coming up. I know the Side Hustle Summit is happening next year. So if you'll just give us a quick blurb about that and just how people can connect with you and how they can support you.
You can connect with me on Instagram at alifeoffinancialfreedom.com. My website is the same, alifeoffinancialfreedom.com. Both of those will keep you updated on all the events that are going on. In 2 weeks, I'll be at the largest personal finance blogging conference, which is FinCon. I will be speaking there, and it's going to be in Austin, Texas. And we'll get my calendar, September 22nd through the 25th. And so please, there's some nice goodies, tips, strategies on the life at A Life of Financial Freedom. Check it out. And I need to say one thing to you, Laura, since we're always talking about hair. This is my hair from Africa still for over 2 months, like going on 3 months.
It looks good. I was going to ask. That's why you're getting your braids done out there.
Yes, if you all go, I was getting my hair done like every week because it was so cheap. The first time it was like $4.50. That's including the if they're taking your hair out, washing it, putting it in, a couple of people on, it's like $16. So they were like, oh, we just saw you last week. I was like, I am coming to get a different hairstyle every week. So this was the last one I got. Oh, it's about time. But oh my gosh, I miss walking around the corner, getting my hair done for less than $20.
That's amazing. That's one of the benefits of freelancing and remote living, right? Like having the opportunity to spend time with loved ones and friends and travel and explore culture. So I'm here for it. And I'm just so happy that we got to do this.
I am too. Thank you.
I'm happy to know this lovely lady. We are sorors, we are line sisters.
Oh, can I throw it up? Can I throw it up?
So I'm glad we got to do this, and we will be talking more. I'm definitely going to be tagging you when this is posted, so you can reshare as well. But
Yes.
We are sisters in the freelance journey, so I'm sure we'll be much more conversation.
Real quick, smile.
Okay, let me forward too. Okay, I got it.
I think I got mine. So let me do it one more time before your time runs out. We have to hit up our line, sister, so I have to do this.
I know.
Yes, amazing. I'll post it on.
Yay.
Thank you, Laura, so much for having me today. This was so much fun. I wish we had even more time.
I know. We'll have to do it again. We'll definitely have to do it again. I'm actually going to be starting a podcast where I'm going to be talking to Black female freelancers. So I would love to have you back once I officially launch that. I'm going to do short seasons, and I'm going to talk about one topic throughout each season. So one season may just be about pricing. You know, so yeah, I would definitely love to have you back. 100%.
Thank you. I look forward to it.
Yes.
Thank you for having me.
Yes. Absolutely. Love you. Enjoy the rest of your day, and we will talk soon.
All right. Bye-bye.
Okay. Bye.